Hello and welcome to Gerety Talks. I'm Lucia, the co-founder of the Gerety Awards. Today we are having a talk about Dutch creativity, and for that we have three experts joining us. Gesina Roters, co-founder and creative partner at Day Creative Business Partners. Marloes Scheffers, international creative director at H&K, and Dorien Kuiken, co-founder and managing director at Fitzgzerald. Welcome and thank you all for joining us today. So let's start by introducing yourselves and tell us a little bit more about your roles and companies. Gesina, would you like to start?
Of course, just stop me when I'm too long. Hi, everybody. My name is Gesina. Like you said, I'm the co-founder and creative director at Day. We are an independent design agency based in Amsterdam and in Eindhoven. Actually, I'm a born Berliner, so I'm not Dutch. I moved to the Netherlands for a year, and that's 30 years ago. I'm trained as a brand and graphic designer back in the day, but also an interior specialist, interior designer. I did work for agencies like FutureBrand and others for a while, and then someday I became entrepreneur and started Day, which was very exciting and maybe very stupid, but also very nice. And so we work with a small dedicated team of creatives and strategists. What we say is that we create brands, places and spaces people love, which already says like I'm not in a campaign thing, but really design. So maybe some stuff you guys talk about, I don't know too much about. What we do is that we develop brand identities, and we are specialized in the physical part of spatial identities, actually. So we all, of course, know brand identity as being, let's say, a visual expression of a brand, carry out from print to digital to media, etc. But what we see is that it's also important to create a physical experience for lots of brands and clients, where you can interact in the physical context with the brands and all that their physical touch points. So our work spans from creating retail and shop concepts, interior of offices, also a campus, branding and signage for theater. So, for example, we just, unfortunately, Rachel is not here, together with, amongst others, at TVBA, we created the biggest brand swap in the Netherlands, Odido, which comes from the T-Mobile former. And we created the whole retail concept, spatial identity, the offices and everything. And yeah, that's me.
Thanks. Marloes, would you like to go on?
Yeah, sure. So hello, my name is Marloes Scheffers. Thank you for inviting me. Nice to meet you all. So yeah, my background, I started my career in advertising here in Amsterdam. I started more at the traditional agencies, low at the time. And then from there, I basically, experienced all sorts of different agencies from more the digital side to well, at the moment I'm working with Hill+Knowlton. We're more focused on the earned first media and PR side. Yeah, so even though I started my career in Amsterdam, I also wanted to go a bit outside my comfort zone, and I basically lived and worked yeah, a bit across the world. So I've been living for like 8 years in London, where I worked for all sorts of like the bigger traditional agencies as well as like really small boutique kind of shops, but as well as in Dubai, even Kenya. And yeah, now I'm back here in Amsterdam. Love being back. I'm based here, but I'm still sort of like in my work internationally focused. So I look after the European output for Hill+Knowlton, so creating ideas that are really rooted in data and insights, and like I said, with a more focus on the earned media side, and that's about me.
Dorien, your turn.
Yeah, thanks. My name is Dorien. I am managing director and founder of Fitzgzerald. Fitzgzerald is a PR and comms agency, also based in Amsterdam. So quite close to what Marloes is doing on a day-to-day basis. We are also really focused. Our core is also really on earned media. We are part of ACE, which is a network of all kinds of different Marcom agencies, and together we are kind of collaborating, but also functioning as separate entities and separate agencies. We call ourselves a purpose-driven communication agency. We like to work for brands that are either from the core really purpose-driven, but also helping bigger corporates and A brands to transition more into purpose-driven communication and all the sort of dangers that also comes with that, because greenwashing, purpose washing, etc., and trying to guide and protect our clients through that path. So we work from big name brands like an Uber or L'Oreal, but also smaller B Corps and NGOs and Dutch government ministries, etc. So very diverse. I'm actually a psychologist from back in the days, but have been working in PR and comms and also more full service for the past 15 years. And happy where I am today.
So let's talk a little bit about Dutch creativity. And of course, you can tell me, or you can answer or tell me from your own perspective and careers. In an article about Dutch creativity I read, Amsterdam's history, culture, and ingenuity make it an international hotspot, not only for advertising, but other creative industries that attracts a diverse international talent pool to the city, making it a breeding ground for creativity, one big cultural village. I know Dutch creativity is not just Amsterdam, but do you agree with this statement? Do you think there are certain characteristics that make Dutch advertising different to others, or something specific and immediately recognizable in Dutch campaigns? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, if I can jump in, I think especially in the previous years, or maybe 20, 30 years ago, I think Amsterdam was a great breeding ground for creativity, and I think also very well known for that within Europe. I do think we've kind of lost that a little bit in the past years. Yeah, I see you nodding. Okay, good. But I do think there is quite some, like in Dutch mentality, there is quite a lot of, there are quite a lot of good features, I think, that enable us to be quite creative. We're quite solution-oriented and cutting the crap, and those kinds of cultural values, I think, that really help in a creative process. But I think we need to revamp that perhaps a bit.
I agree, yes.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not only a change for the Netherlands. I think there are changes all around the world with, of course, upcoming of social media, internet, etc. But what I see, it was different back in the day when that was not there, because then still you had the design heroes, let's say, who really crafted stuff, and that is where, in I think Dutch history, when I talk about design, the Dutch design mindset comes from. And but I still think that the work-life balance thing in the Netherlands is quite high. So I think that attracts lots of people to the Netherlands. Also, from all around the people from all around the world. But the Netherlands have this long tradition as a small trading nation with lots of sea around, going all over the world, having this curious and open mindset. And I think that is still here quite a lot. So the openness for design, arts, media, music, etc., is still there, and that attracts people next to this high level of good life here.
Yeah.
But there's also, I think we became a little bit lazy.
Yeah.
Maybe due to the fact that it is so nice and easy here, people start to then become a little bit like, oh, okay. So when you think about big Indian cities, London, New York, there's so much more competition going on and so much more pressure. People there cannot just like sink in a little bit. There's no way, otherwise you're gone. And I think that maybe is a fact, which also maybe it's a nice fact. That you have a good life.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to interrupt you, but I think also, for creativity and strategy, you also need space to think, right? And also sometimes being able to take the time to create and to develop thoughts, etc. And I think that's also something under pressure, which is harder. So it could also be a good thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and to what you're saying, Gesina, I think Dutch design was indeed like super famous. It was very super minimalistic. It was Dutch. The Dutch was sort of both practical Dutch and its simplicity, but it is also aesthetically pleasing. So I think that this is how we obviously as a nation became famous, like for a strong tradition in design. But I think we need to keep that momentum going. Actually.
Yeah. But I think that the conceptual mindset still is there. Like me being a Berliner coming from Germany, where you in the companies have much more of a hierarchy than here. So here still everything it's much more flat in that sense, and that does something to creativity. And that this openness, I think we still should promote a little bit more and cherish.
Yeah.
I think that openness actually is what attracts a lot of people, a lot of foreigners to live in places like Amsterdam. I think, that's and that also goes good with creativity. And what you were saying, Dorien, about maybe speed. Everything is so fast today that to have the time to really think about stuff and have creativity popping up is cool too.
And being able to make mistakes also, in that time.
Yeah. And maybe we should also encourage our clients to keep up with this kind of and be open for this level of coincidence in creativity, which is really, very important, I think.
Yeah.
Bumping into stuff and slow down and allow your project or your team or your work to let this coincidence in. And that became, I think, much more difficult all around the world.
Yeah.
So you mentioned difficulties. So let's go to the next question, which is, what are today the biggest challenges you face in your roles, and more generally, the challenges the advertising industry faces in general? Maybe clients or relationship with clients is one of the things you mentioned, but what else do you think?
I think talking about clients, always good to talk about clients, blame the clients now. They have often having high expectations. That's one thing, and that's always good to have high expectations. But then with that comes sometimes low budgets and as well as tight deadlines. So I think that is a challenge that I think no matter what agency or what part of the industry you're at, I think that's something that we all can be challenging at times. So it's basically the pressure that on creative teams to deliver like very high quality work. So I think the gone are a bit the glorious days of where you can spend like months or years trying to come up with a campaign. So there's that, obviously. And so that's I think on a personal note, but then I think on the bigger advertising industry in its whole, because that's a big question. I think there's a lot actually going on. There's also there's still, unfortunately, a bit of lack of representation. Like as a female leaders, I think we can all see it. I feel there's still work to be done for an industry as a whole, and I think there's also again, to come back on a personal note, there's also the work-life balance. As a creative director, obviously I work full-time, and I think that not only me, but it's also, I think other women as well it's like to keep that balance of the career and family responsibilities, which can also be challenging at times. I don't know how you feel about.
Yeah, I totally second that. Yeah. And I think also when it comes to, I think you all experience the same, but I'm leading my own agency, but also part of a bigger network. And as a female leader, you do encounter quite some loneliness sometimes, right? Because
come to my place. You can sit with us.
Yeah, we should have coffee more. No, and I'm happy to see that within ACE that has changed already tremendously in the past 3 years. So I'm really happy to have some peers here now, female peers, because it does sometimes feel like you're speaking two different languages, and it's hard work to actually bring that from both sides, right? But to bring that closer to each other when you're coming from a different gender. But I think traditionally males in our industry have had an easier route to the top. Let's say it like that. So to kind of pioneer as a female leader, it's just it comes with the struggles, and then it's nice to have peers to be able to share experiences and learn from each other. So that's why I also really love Gerety. Shout out. But I think that's a big challenge, right? Because there's not like a paved way for you to okay, this is how you're going to do it. No, you need to find it out yourself, and you need to sometimes fall and learn from it. And
can relate to that. And also, what I also see is that let's say the sign of our times. Another one is that creativity and design became a commodity. So these days everybody is a designer, or thinks they are a designer, and they are, of course. All the media and AI give us these possibilities. But that's also, I think, a big challenge for us in being much more deep in the conceptual part of creativity, wanting to create something meaningful and not just push some buttons and send something out there. And but then what you say is like it needs to be fast and cheap, and clicks kill creativity. Because everything needs to be, but that's more your field, needs to be measured, measurable, and provable. And even in my field, in spatial design, which is much more, it's complex in a different way, because it takes much longer before you created a physical experience design thing and everything, and people are scared about it. And the being able to measure the result of it, the positive result, is much more difficult than in advertising, for example. But I'm sure also my field will be taken over in this thinking of everything needs to be measurable, and we follow everybody else, so everything becomes the same. And I think that's a big challenge.
And You mentioned new technologies and AI especially, so there are big debates around AI and whether it will be helpful or harmful for the creative industry and the work of creatives. What is your opinion on it, and do you use it? What do you think? You're laughing, but nobody answers.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, in PR and comms, it's then I think again a totally different ball game than perhaps in design, for example. We do use quite some generative AI, especially more on the tech side, but also when it comes to research, doing strategy, it speeds up the process quite a bit. At the same time, you really also see the need of the human direction in what you're getting and yeah, it also scares me a lot working with it quite intensively. How are we going to be able to direct it from a values standpoint, you know? How are we going to make sure that we steer it in the right direction using our human values and sort of compass? And I think that's also especially in our industry, because when we use generative AI, we have a huge, it comes with a huge responsibility, I think, right? Because we're going to reach millions of people with it. So I do think sometimes in our industry, we're not aware of that yet enough. And I'm really hoping that together in the upcoming years, we can develop sort of a compass how to use that in a ethical way, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the biggest and most exciting, but at the same time, the most scary innovation since the Industrial Revolution, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's incomprehensible. We don't know. I was thinking about it. Is it? It's in the same time. It's a killer. It's a killer of jobs and maybe a killer of creativity. But it's an enabler in the same time. Who does not use it for photographs or imagery or ChatGPT, everything, you know, we also use it in the same time. I was thinking with myself, brainstorming with myself a little bit, and I thought, like, maybe if I would like to, see something on the horizon which will happen over the time when AI takes over everything. I mean, who needs to hire a model lighting a location anymore in the future? Because AI can just do it. But I don't know how will the development will go, but I can imagine that maybe there is maybe a small seed for real crafts again. So for maybe a real craft becomes a luxury. Then it becomes a niche, but people really can make things with their hands, or just do it slightly different than AI would do, or do some more strategic ideation and stuff like that. Maybe there is a little light on the end of the horizon.
And maybe even to looking into the future, you can already see like work that is AI generated. It has this signature, it's done by AI. So maybe in the future we're going back to the valuing the real craft, the real like more and more. And I think that's also something human, something the tangible, the physical, that AI can never steal from us. So in a way, AI, I feel, can supercharge us with creativity. And yes, all the creatives can use the tools to supercharge like what we are already doing. So it can help us generate ideas. We can even analyze data. We can do so much with it. But at the end of the day, the real craft is something that I feel AI can never really get, because also creativity, I think you mentioned it earlier, is Dorien, it's like creativity is intuition. It's like what we females like have a lot, but it's also that human. I think we're in design, we're in advertising, we're all storytellers, and that human emotional touch is something that AI is still missing, luckily.
And what also sorry.
No, I'm really I totally agree, and I really hope that we will develop some sort of sixth sense in the upcoming years that will really also help us, sort of guide in what we actually want to see instead of machines telling us what we should see or whatever. So I really hope that we can shift to more sort of a reactive state to AI, to a more sort of as not only as creators but also as consumers, to what we're getting served, basically, content-wise.
And also what you mentioned before, Dorien, was the word coincidence. And I think that's such an important part of creativity, is that you cannot plan everything. You need to try, you need to bump into it, and then get enlightened by something you bump into. And AI is numbers, and it will always try to be perfect. Maybe that's just my positive me thinking this, but let's hope that we're not workless in about a couple of years. But that this coincidence is something, I think that's what so far only humans can do.
Like randomness. Things that and I was thinking about the Spider-Man movie, where I think it's her grandma that says, with great powers comes great responsibility, so something like that. And talking about the award season that has already started, what kind of campaigns or topics would you like to see rewarded this year in creative festivals?
Well, for me, if I can, I have an agency that is called the Purpose-Driven Communication Agency. And what I've seen in the past year, that purpose was like a category in in awards shows, etc. And I think, well, you can see the whole discussion, things like ethics and your position in society and responsibilities are becoming increasingly important. So I would hope that that's sort of more part of all the work we create, and not just like a separate category in an award show. That's my hope and wish for this year and the next years to come, of course.
And I think to add to that, so I think not only brand purpose, but also what I would love to see is also social justice. So really campaigns that maybe address a social issue. I love those type of campaigns that really touches upon humanity, something really like something that really touches everyone and is important to people, not just advertising for advertising's sake, not just because it's creative, but because it's solving a problem. It could be racism, inequality, and environmental issues. I think, it's lovely if a campaign can do that, and if a brand can do that.
I totally agree. And it also takes guts more and more for brands, right? Because the geopolitical situation is quite tense at the moment. So you also see a lot of brands like maybe actually taking a step back when it comes to these themes, because they're scared of a faux pas. But I do think it also, I'm hoping that brands and organizations will have some guts and still be able to speak out when it comes to exactly those themes like you addressed, Marloes.
I can add a much less high aspirational wish. I've been in all these juries, and what you see is that you have the big agencies having all these multiple entries because they can do it. They have the power in-house financially, but also with people to create all this great entry work in multiple categories. And I would wish that there would be an equal chance for all in also the bigger shows like Cannes, for example, where smaller agencies or maybe even people who just work on their own have the chance to stand out without all this multiple entries and lots of money. that was like something I would like to see.
And the last question to wrap up is, what would be your advice today for someone who wants to get into the Dutch advertising industry today, like or PR or design? A piece of advice.
So I would say that like, well, be persistent. So, you know, our industry is very competitive. So also to, you know, don't be discouraged and don't give up immediately with the first setback. So, you know, just continue going, you know, attend events, like go to Jonge Honden. You have like so many network like things for young professionals, like competitions, but also to and continue to build your portfolio, because that is also the key to showcasing your creativity to agencies.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think also I absolutely don't want to generalize the next generations coming up, but I think there are what I see in my agency quite ambitious, but also quite eager to make steps quickly, you know, from promotion to promotion, etc. And I do think that, again, here also time and creating space to try things. And I also understand, because they grow up in a time where, you know, they only get 4 years to do their education, and like they've grown up in a time where the pace is just really high. So I would also advise them to, it's okay to take your time a little bit to grow into the trade and try some things and develop yourself, and it will pay out at a later stage in your career if you try things. And
Agree.
yeah, right? Yeah.
My yoga teacher always say, meet yourself where you are. And then you're like, oh God, and there's like mistakes are to learn from. So I totally agree. Don't, for example, for younger people, don't give up. And also find your own style and identity in your work, and find a security, or be sure about it, you know. And despite of what anybody else tells you, or trends, or TikTok stuff, or try to be yourself, and that always brings you, I think, much further than being a copycat.
Totally, but it takes time, right, to find out who you
Absolutely.
are, and where you are in the whole spectrum of creativity, what's your niche, etc. And so it's okay to take time to research on that and to find it.
And at yoga, I still fell over sometimes. Oh, try again.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts and experience with us and spending some time. And hope you have nice projects coming on, and all the best for the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.